I'm not. Okay, talk. There's always that moment. We're talking about.
I said, there's always that moment that people have, I think, when there's a moment where they want someone to talk about it. You know, when it gets right down to it.
We're talking about violence and how there's
the guy didn't really want to hit the girl with the thing, but why he picked up the baseball bat, I don't know.
I just made a little speech.
And the girl was screaming, it was all out of control. And she said, "Are you going to hit one of that? What are you going to do with that baseball bat?"
I just dedicated this thing, I said, to the bravest person I ever met. And not because of that either. It was for other things. But the bravest person I've ever met. We've been tormented. All kinds of things. Just like completely. We've been fighting for our lives. And she's in the same town as these monsters. With a business.
I think I've rounded the bend. I don't think I'm going to die tonight. Last night I didn't know. But tonight I feel like I'm going to die.
No, I'm gonna finish some stuff. We're treating everything.
I'm getting more air in now.
Yeah.
It's still kind of bad, but
I just treated the place with oxygen. What happens is, this is an insidious thing, and the city of Pasadena knows about it. It's you can consider it a biological weapon. Oh, that's for sure. They know about it. They've protected these so-called owners. And we're talking about 2194, 2192 East Corson Street, Pasadena, California. We're making this, and we've already got thousands and thousands of videos out there, but they're cloaked. But we're making this so people who see it understand that there's a lot of feeling went on. We've been living under the threat of death and struggling for our own lives. And I just realized today, that actually it was the last couple of days. I don't have to worry about them shooting us anymore. Because all they have to do is just sit back and let us die. And we've been struggling with this for over 18 months now. About 18 months. The city turned their back on us, and then not only that, they jumped in to help the owner and made us responsible for things that. But we did come up with some technology that's like insanely good, and it's natural. It's all natural. I've been working on stuff. And so is she for years and years and years. And a lot of the works I've done and the discoveries I've made, I haven't published. But I've released enough to various organizations, including people from Johns Hopkins and JPL, other places, that they've been using my technology subtly. And I see it all around. And I'm telling you this out of respect for nature, out of respect for the infinite, everything. And out of respect for each and every single life, no matter who it is, who they are, the color of their skin, anything. But out of respect for each and every person, an animal, and everything. Because without that, we're not really human, are we? What they did over there was not only criminal, and the hard thing is to describe what the crimes were, but the crimes are numerous. And when you have a group of people that get together and sit down and decide that they're going to allow people to move into a place which they deem worthy of it, in order that this place can see how long it kills them, or how long they get sick, or this and that. How long their system works, and how, if they can build on it. They just want to know when they can start building. If the ground is not so toxic, because it's already mapped out. They're putting up twice as many apartment buildings as is allowed. by the planning department. And the way they're doing that is that they're doubling the way they're concealing their crime is that they actually have two sets, not one but two sets of addresses for each property. One is 2192 Corson, which is the legal address, and one is 2192 East Corson, which is the actual address, because Corson runs east. That's it. All the way through Pasadena. Now, this site I discovered quite by accident. When we had a sewage flood, and they just turned their back on us and didn't do anything. They promised help and stuff, but it was major. And in the process of it, I had to open the thing up, and I found out the problem was that there was no sewer pipe hooked up. It was non-existent, and it was actually removed. And the sewer inlet was cut, and on the P-trap in the yard that I found later, 4-inch. And this went right by a new electrical service, which they would have had to have seen. And not only that, smelled, because we're talking about a layer of topsoil. Underneath the layer of topsoil is another layer of soil. Okay? Underneath that layer of soil is a layer of biomatter, bio-waste, bio-sludge, sewage sludge, okay? Probably right out of the treatment plants before it was actually treated, the sludge part. That was applied over the entire backyard, which is comprised of 1/5 of an acre. It's approximately 10,500 or 10,300 feet, something like that. Anyway, so underneath that layer of sludge is a layer of compacted, oil-soaked, clay-like, very fine, silty dirt with little parts in it, and things like pull tabs, and I found some cans and other things. And I dated it. I went on the internet and stuff, and I dated most of this stuff to like this 1973 in that layer, which is about a foot down. Okay? And then underneath that layer, alright, is like muck of some sort. It's just like the thing will fall, the pipe and stuff. There's hollows, and the whole house in the back is sinking. But I cut through this stuff, and there's just no way that the stench would just kill you. And this was on a run of about 150 feet. I had to find the sewer inlet. We were at this property, and we really invested a lot of time and energy into it. We had an 18-month lease, and we're making it into a design center. And we already had plans and the means and ways to purchase a building. And we were already looking at that in another area after we kicked this off. And we were going to have public shows, and that was it. We figured we'd work on it for about 6 months, set it all up, and then go from there. It was worth the investment for the art, as well as to have the open area for the natural products that we discovered and been working on for years. We found the cure for poison oak, the absolute cure for it, and have used this technology to morph it into some very sophisticated healing type things and soaks, which has saved our lives outright, and it's brought a lot of comfort and relief to others as well. We have many. We've given away thousands of pounds of it, never sold it, ever once. And so anyway, so we're research scientists at heart. I'm really dedicated. I lived in a laboratory. It was a place I had a cleaning business, and I would restore leather and any kind of fabric. If I couldn't, my policy was showroom fresh or no charge, and this would be mounted on upholstery. So high-end stuff, some of the stuff was worth, I don't know, $20,000 in the 50s, and all the, I didn't have any competitors except for the reupholsterers, and that was my policy: showroom fresh, no charge. I morphed into rock, stone, concrete, you name it. I can pull anything out of anything, pretty much, as well as set most anything into anything, and you'll see by my work on the Picasso web links and stuff like that I know what I'm talking about. But my cleaning technology had to go into the health technology to save my life, and hers, subsequently hers, and we've been saving our lives back and forth now for quite a while. And so we want to put out some basic stuff that anyone can use, because let me tell you, it's here. And when you see what's going on here, and when you see what these officials and city people, who knows how far it's spread, it's unbelievably bad, okay? And they're going against their own charter, their own laws, their own rules, their regulations, everything. And they're so powerful that you can't. There's no one that can do anything. We are, thanks to our lawyer, Akuza Uzul, we, lost our rights, everything. We had an open and shut thing. There was no occupancy there. The chief of the occupancy program department in Pasadena, John Pollard, was on site, and in writing, he told me he was going to file, and everything, file no, nothing. So, and they worked hand in hand with these people. But what I'm saying is there's a way out of it. What we went through, no one should go through. I'm going through it now, but I see a way through it naturally. And when I say it, I'm talking about what most people consider as cancer and all kinds of different diseases and everything. And it pretty much boils down to two things: fungus and bacteria. And what happens is they get thrown off in your system. They've gotten smarter. They've joined forces, and now they're really, 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 really smart. You have to remember that fungus is responsible, and bacteria, for making oxygen, breaking the rocks into this and that, the molten light. It's without that there's no life. So to want to kill these things is wrong, and we have to take a new approach and a different stance. We don't want to kill the bacteria anymore. We don't want to kill the fungus. All we want to do is to repel it and not allow it to propagate in an area. It won't like it, and it'll just go and not be there. Same with our bodies. Instead of wanting to put all these drugs in our bodies and all these other chemicals and things that basically break us down. And, like the retrovirus now. The retrovirus has been around for a while for asthma. All right? You take that little puppy, and basically what it does is it goes in and suppresses a part of your immune system, which will allow the drug, the medicine, whatever you want to call it, right, to actually work and do its thing and get rid of the asthma type stuff. Now, what they don't tell you is actually they're giving you worms. It's a parasite. And the worms go in and create an area. What they do is they swim to parts of your brain, other parts of your body, and they actually turn off your immunosystems. They go through your whole endocrine system. It's ugly. And for the rest of your life, pretty much, you have to take their thing out. H1N1, engineered. There's even a patent for it.
So they create the war. They keep
So
the war in your body.
what we have is we have actual war on the citizens of Pasadena and other places. I just know about this one though. War on the actual citizens of Pasadena by people who are in office over there. I don't know how far it goes, but I just know that there's a ring of corruption, and there's a lot of people that just don't like it at all. And there's a lot of people that have been harmed. And by the grace of God and everything else, on the ground and earth, the Great Spirit, infinite, the universe, everything, we're alive.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much unbelievable considering what we've had to go through, and considering the sheer magnitude of this. They said they were setting us up for murder, arson, everything else. And for some reason, I don't know, I don't talk to a lot of people, but when I do, I have this ability that people just word out the first thing that comes to their mind. They somehow, some way, tell me the truth. So I believe in honesty. And I believe in love. Because that's what's going to save our world. Because we're on the brink. It's on the brink. And the reason why these two elements, the bacteria and the fungus, are joined is to put a balance back on the earth. Because we're slowly snuffing it out with the oil, the food that we eat, and the sewage, subsequently the sewage that we're dumping. It's got so many toxic chemicals in it, it's because we produce it out of our own butts. Because of the stuff we're eating, okay? And not only that, there's the other things, and the stuff we're using, there's no need for it. Why would anybody want to use something that would kill your dog, or your cat, or your anything, your baby, if they drank it accidentally? Or if you got it on your thing. Why would anybody want to use anything that you had to use a respirator for, or a rubber suit? If you got to use a respirator for something, you got to use a rubber suit. Otherwise, you're absorbing it through your skin, okay? And the respirator's got to be full face, and you got to have your ears plugged, and you got to have at least, grease on you, because whatever it is, it's going to be in there, with the exception of dust, even dust. Now we're talking about most dust. You don't realize this, but the dust you see is not a dust piece. There's a whole colony, a giant colony of billions of little tiny dusty things. We're talking nanoparticles, and when I say I'm not talking nanometer, I'm talking next level. I'm talking nano-inch. But it's smaller than that. So if it's even dust, it's going to pass through your skin into your system, and you're not going to do a fucking thing about it. Alright? And what happens is this stuff is so intelligent that it starts manipulating your actual DNA. So you replicate cells that it wants in order for it to create an environment inside your body. They call that cancer. They call that malignancy. They call that what is that shit called? Runaway. It's a mutagen. There's lots of names for it. And it's different than tumor. But anyway, it's all fungus or poison. Tumors are like poison in your body. That's why, you see these things and they go, oh, yeah, there's all these things, and look at it. There's veins and arteries and shit coming off of it, right? And this hard shell. Oh, it's a tumor. It's a tumor. Well, here's what happens. If you got some smelly old socks that you just peeled off your feet because you just got off of a 3-day hike without changing your shoes, or you're detoxifying, and which we constantly are, then you put the socks in a bag and you wrap them up, right? Right? Yeah, you do. Now, imagine that you got more socks going in there, right? Oh, fuck, a lot more jackets and all this other bullshit because you're, putting nothing but bullshit in your body, all right? And we're all being fed these lies and what have you. So it's simple. We go back to Earth. But what happens is, like, you got to open and close that bag, right? A bunch of times. So you got to put some devices on it and stuff, right, to keep that bag fluxing, be able to open it up. So some drawstrings, right? And now that bag's got to get bigger. Now you got to be able to make it bigger. So maybe you put, some hoses in there so you can fill it up with air, right, when you need to. Same as the human body. And we have these things all over us. And what it does is it saves our fucking lives by taking the poison and stuffing it into a little container. Okay? Now, what happens is when you start or you stop doing something that you've been doing for a while, it doesn't matter what. But if it was poisoned your system and you've been craving it, chances are these unnatural cravings and these hardcore cravings and stuff are coming from a fungus or a bacteria or both or one and the same. From my calculations anyway. So what happens is that you got to realize that they're creating an environment within inside of you by pushing your buttons and making you want these things and crave them and get them and eat them. True Hindus and true, not true, but, vegetarians will not eat corn. Will not eat corn. It is not a vegetarian dish. It is not a vegetarian thing anymore. Corn has been altered by Monsanto and Dow Chemicals, what have you. As other things are, and they use bug parts in it. Okay, bug parts. And this is to make them resistant to the chemicals that they have to sell. The guy, Dow Chemical, sells the chemicals from Monsanto's corn. And if you don't have Dow Chemicals to throw on the stuff, you're corn guys, and you're screwed. Screwed. And that's the whole point, see, is to gain a worldwide hold on the food. The corn is not food. We shouldn't eat it. It is not food. And they took a good thing and screwed it up. Let's use the old style corn, but let's get on to something else. Now, what happens is this. There's another thing that happens. It's called fungus. Now, you breathe it every day. But you get exposed to it in concentrations in high places where dampness is, whatever. And it goes into your lungs and starts growing, especially, aspergillus. The aspergillus family, the penicilliums and the stachybotrys and all those, they're bad. But there's a single fungus in this planet that is the most prevalent of all things, and that is the aspergillus family, whether it be Niger or, that's the one that we were doing. Flavius is the strongest one, but I tend to think this was Niger. But anyway, it'll grow a ball inside of you and inhibit your breathing, and it'll go into your brain and give you a lot of problems. People die from it. It's called aspergillosis. It's been used as a bioweapon for years and years. It's an actual weapon of mass destruction when you concentrate it. They use it to make soy sauce. It's in every square centimeter of the earth. And concentrated and harnessed, it's an incredible thing. But it's incredibly dangerous as well. It creates hundreds, if not thousands, of chemicals at will. It has endotoxins, exotoxins, all kinds of stuff on the outside of its skin. It's like tubes. And it's just the most beautiful thing. But it's the most dangerous, and a very dangerous thing too. Now, because of the ground and the sewage mixing over at the ground over there, and the fact that they had some weird chems rising up through the surface that would get everybody as high as a kite who went in the bath once they opened the yard up. We couldn't stay there for like the last 2 months before the city forced city intervention by hazmat. And anyway, so there's an incredibly dangerous thing that's over there. And what you need to realize is that your body is most likely acid. So what you want to do, and you have the bloats and this and that, is to drink baking soda as directed on the box to lower your pH. It'll make gas. What we found was that we could drink like something like lemon juice water. This is funny as heck. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it really works. And take lemon juice type water or low pHs. Drink that. Wait for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and then drink some baking soda. And then you burp your brains out. It drops the thing. It makes carbon dioxide kind of. But what happens is the carbon dioxide reacts with the cells inside your body, and it creates oxygen. It gives you quite the boost and clears your head. And that's the whole thing here. Is what I deal with is, and her too, and well, not as much. This thing is T cell specific. Is what I found. So it's not like you can't. It acts just like poison oak, poison ivy. So when you're hit with this thing, and I call it a thing. I actually have a name for it, but it goes after your T cells and uses them against you. And you get a histomatic response within your body and blow up. All kinds of things happen to you that are not pleasant. So you have to whack it back, and you do that by flipping your body's pH and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Don't drink alcohol under any circumstances. That's its favorite food. Corn is also up there. Anything with sugar on it turns to sugar. It's off. It's an incredible battle. But the thing is I got hit really hard. And there's a radioactive element in the back. Once it's concentrated, there is radioactivity of some sort back there. I was thinking it might have been beryllium. But anyway, so we pulled the radioactivity out, that element, with the bath salts that we made. And kept a bunch of them. It's vibratory. What happens is it's not like salts. Well, there's a lot of salt in it per se, but it's actually grown. It takes a series of months to get 3 months. That's why another reason why we got this place, because it had a huge yard, about a 9-car garage carport thing in the back with a roof on top. Just a total giant roof on the top, a deck, and then another small 1-bedroom house in the back for storage, a little studio, whatever, but for paper and the art things, and then humongous old growth trees and what have you. We brought everything back. In fact, the avocados were like 3 times bigger So it was a really good bio experiment. And the strange thing was we were sitting right on top of a really dangerous, hazardous waste dump. And the guy, they hauled